Hi guys, thanks everyone for joining. We might kick off. We will be recording this session and post this event we will be sending out the recording link and also the PowerPoint presentations and some brochures around the product and the links we discuss about the next steps and how to get started. So we might get started and then any latecomers can join in. Looks like everyone decided to join right at 5 minutes past. So thank you for joining us today as we talk about the exciting new Cyber 2.0 product. We have a bit of agenda that we'll cover off on today. So who is Switch Connect, Severity, and Cyber 2.0? A bit around the security landscape in where this product fits in. We'll then do a bit of a deep dive into the Cyber 2.0 offering. We'll go through a real-time demonstration of the product and how it can add value to your arsenal of cybersecurity products to your customers, including we'll be, if the demo gods are with us, we'll be going through a real-time deployment of WannaCry ransomware and how this product can help protect your customers. We'll then go into a little bit around how to get started, and then we'll have a question and answer time at the end. So please feel free, if you've got any questions along the presentation, to dump them into the chat window, and we'll try and cover them off as we're going through. If not, if we don't get to them, don't worry, we'll cover them off at the question and answer time at the end of the presentation. A little bit around Switch Connect. So Switch Connect and Ingram, we've been partnered together for a number of years around the Teams calling and voice offering. We are a global telecommunications and technology consultancy firm headquartered out of Australia. From a voice perspective, from a UCaaS, CPaaS, and also Teams calling, we've got currently 9 global country POPs globally. That's expanding to 15 early next year, and we're a little bit different to most other providers in that we are a channel-focused organization. So we only work through channel partners. So currently, globally, we've got just over about 200 partners we work with globally. And as I said, we are in Australia. We are the voice partner for Ingram Micro. Bit around our whole suite of capabilities. Most people know us from the unified comm space, so from our hosted platform, voice and data services, but we do have a whole arsenal of product offerings around connectivity, smart city offerings, and then also wrapping them into managed services, global NOC services, in which we can deliver back to our channel partners. And then also the newer arm to that becomes our cybersecurity portfolio, and then Cyber 2.0 becomes a key product to that suite. Severity is a fairly new brand, but it comes with a long heritage back behind it. So it is it's the arm of Cloud Vitality into the cybersecurity. So linking through the Cyber 2.0 and then adding all the value adds. Like Cyber 2.0 just becomes one product in which you can build an offering around, but with the partnership with Severity, you can add all those value-added services around it. So consultancy, as well as global SOC services and assessment tools. So a little bit around who's presenting today. So I'm Rowan Milne, the CEO of Switch Connect. We also have Derek Nathan, who you can see in the video as well. So he'll be presenting as well around the Cyber 2.0 and is one of the directors at Severity. So we really come in on the technical side for you and deep dive into the product offering. The last few people. So what is the problem today, and where do we really see the problem in cybersecurity and what people are trying to fix? The biggest one that we've seen through the news is normally around lateral network. So someone within an organization clicks on a link, ransomware gets deployed, and then that massively from an IT department, you just watch that spread across the network end to end. And we're constantly seeing in news where ransomware is being deployed and demanding millions of dollars to unlock cyber data. Companies being held to ransom for cybersecurity. So ransomware is by far what we see one of the biggest malicious attacks we see. Is that, hey, they're shutting down organizations and holding them to ransom to get access to the data. One of the biggest ones we've seen in Australia was Channel 9, and I'm not sure if anyone read up on the post, what do you call it? I don't know, in cybersecurity, the post-incident review, or what happened and how did this happen. And if you look at if you read the article by the CTO came out and said, he goes, we're powerless to stop it. We knew what happened and we just watched it spread across the network, and there's nothing that we could do to stop it. As fast as we were trying to detect it and stop it, it just respawned itself and was just systematically, he goes, we looked at it taking from 2% to 100% of the network, and we were powerless to actually stop it. So this is really where we see the major problem in large corporates, is that how do you stop it? It's clear that traditional antivirus and network protection software just doesn't have the capability to keep up with the latest generation of technology. That there's so many attacks and new variants of that coming out so fast that you can't detect, analyze, and push out those updates fast enough to clients. So this is where we get into the kind of, we've broken down into the 4 main use cases of Cyber 2.0. And this is by no means the only use cases, but these are kind of the 4 simplest use cases as we are talking about a next generation of technology that really is going to help you question the way you thought about application security and network security. That we've kind of broken it down to the 4 easy ways in which you can actually see how you can take this product and roll it out to your client base and build out that arsenal today. So where the software really comes into is your client server in environments. So where you've still got on-premise servers today, or servers hosted in Azure or AWS or cloud environments, and you've got customers connecting to that for file shares, accessing applications. That's really where this application comes in best, is actually securing those connections and make sure only lawful devices and also applications have access to those environments. So really providing you that 100% security. It will also protect you if you're a full cloud customer. Say you've got everything in Office 365, SharePoint, OneDrive, you've gone to the whole modern workplace team. The Cyber 2.0 product will still help you protect the local network, in that if ransomware does get on a device, it won't be able to spread to other devices. But really where we see the major value and where a lot of these ransomwares are really targeting is customers that still have that large fleet of server environments that's still in place. It also is a great product as COVID has hit the world, and the whole world of everyone working from the secure office is a dream of the past now, where everyone is moving to a work from home or a hybrid work from home environment. VPNs are great, where they can provide the secure connection from the remote device back into the corporate network. But what protects that remote secure device? That it plugs into someone's home network now, where as an IT department, you can't guarantee the security of what's on that network. Well, the Cyber 2.0 product can really add you that extra level of security, where, hey, you're encrypting the traffic from that remote device back into the corporate network, but are you allowing malware back in? Are you actually protecting that those remote malwares on the local home network of whatever? There's not a access device that's then jumped onto that remote corporate device and re-injecting that software back over that VPN connection. The other place where this really kicks in, and one of the really hard networks to really secure, is operational environments. So this has many different terms. I know Derek and myself, we spoke for about an hour on how to display operational networks. So when we're really talking about is real-time networks. So we're talking around networks running SCADA systems or operational systems. So when we're talking around water pipeline, electricity, ports, those sorts of networks that have real-time networks with real-time applications running that traditionally haven't had security built into them and are really hard to secure, where the Cyber 2.0 product has a really great offering around that. We will say, if this is a market segment that you target with your customers, definitely reach out to us, organize a session, and we'll dig deeper into how that works. That's probably something we're not going to cover today, as this is more introductory session. So we'll cover off on the first two use cases and the third one. But we just want to put it out there that I know as people are reviewing what to add to their arsenal and how to protect these sorts of networks, the Cyber 2.0 product has a great offering around it, but it is a completely different conversational piece. The last use case that we see is forensic and risk assessment. So what we've seen in a lot of these attacks, and if you read through the post-event surveys that people go through, is that they cleaned out their network, they got the ransomware, either they got rid of it, recovered by backup, paid the ransom, however they thought that they resolved the issue, and then a week later they get done again. And where a lot of this is they didn't quite remove the threat or understand how the threat got in, or 9 out of 10 times what you see in the cases, it was someone who was on holidays. So someone was on holidays, took their laptop with them, actually had the malware or the attack software on it. So when the IT cleaned the environment, they cleaned the environment that was there. Someone's come back from holiday, plugged their laptop in, then the same attack has run ransom through the network. Or the other one we've seen a lot of happening, and this was in Channel 9's case, is that a lot of people don't attack straight away. They will sit on a compromised device for months, analyze how the network works, the inner flowing of a customer's network. So when they attack, they make sure that they can attack correctly and take out as much as possible and really lock that network down. So with the forensic software, you can actually run it on your existing network and actually see that complete data flow of data in a monitor-only mode before you actually put the Cyber 2.0 into defense mode. And you can actually pull some reporting and analytics and go, hey, is there already malware on your network, or how is the network currently operating? What's all that application flowing through the network, and really assess in what your risk assessment moving forward. So yeah, so kind of four use cases. In today's demo, we will be showing the client server model. We will talk about the work from home and how that works, and then we'll go into the forensics. But I'll leave it over into Derek's capable hands now to kick off, to start talking about the product from a technical perspective, and then yeah, we'll jump into a demo, and I'll talk to you all at the end around how to go from here. Thanks, Derek.
Great, thanks, Rowan. It's an awesome introduction. Hope I can meet the standards. Anyway, so what I'm going to do today is I'm going to take you guys through basically what is about this product that makes it different to every other product out there on the marketplace today. And as you know, the major premise with products now is they have to detect first before they can respond. And as we know, that's really a hit and miss approach. It's never going to be 100%. The industry is always evolving. You need to identify every single bit of software that comes into an environment and make an assessment of that. Whereas Cyber 2.0 turned that on its head. It basically says, right, we have a known set of software that we want to work with, and anything else, malicious or otherwise, does not fit in that model and is not allowed to communicate over the network. Much simpler approach, faster way to get up and running. So I'll just run you through how that actually works. So as I said, we're looking at every bit of software that runs has to be identified and recognized. And then once they've done that, try to stop it. Sometimes there's a delay in that. Sometimes it's got to be sent upstream to be analyzed further before Even in that time, it's hitting the network as you speak. So as we know, new software every minute, every second, there's new malware out there. And therefore, you can't be protected. And as well as hackers can remove, let's say if the antivirus software is disabled on an endpoint, you got zero protection at that point. So Cyber 2.0 solved this problem. So using our method, every malicious software is blocked and you're going to have complete protection. And that's because we don't do classic detection. We're only marking approved software. And furthermore, once we've identified that approved software, it's anything else is not allowed on the network. However, if you disable our agent, the rest of the network is still protected. We have in the background of all of this what's called a mathematical chaos model. And basically that provides the protection, the integrity of the network. So when all the computers of the network are protected by Cyber 2.0, they share what's called a chaos balance, which means all the parameters of the algorithm are aligned. So that allows the communication between different devices. If there's any modification of that, be it somebody's changed the whitelist, somebody's changed the certificate, it basically breaks that algorithm and that computer cannot communicate with the other computers on the network. It's unpredictable, much like the biological models to some extent are predictable. So as part of the this product, we are offering 6 major benefits at this point of time. One is it is an endpoint detection and response product to the extent that we're detecting what's known and disabling everything else. We're also a network application control. So whereas a traditional network access control product will just use ports or devices, we actually know what applications are running over your network. You've got your security operations center. We have forensic capability. Everything's based on a zero trust model. And furthermore, you get a benefit of network obscurement. And the reason for this is you'll see Cyber 2.0 is continuously scrambling the ports that every communication is using. And every second it's going to a new unpredictable port. So all the data is scrambled. So it's not easy for somebody to identify what services are running on the network. So with this approach, we don't miss any new attack. So once you install Cyber 2.0 in your monitor mode, we're automatically mapping all of the software, whether it's installed, active, and network resources. Of that, as part of our identification, we might find there are 50 of those products that are malicious or don't fit the requirement of the organization. There might be certain remote control products out there and other products that really, if you'd known about them, you probably wouldn't want them running anyway. And then with Cyber 2.0, we can approve the other 950 products that are utilizing the network resources. We don't really care what runs on the local computer in this instance. We just are worried about what is accessing the network. So we don't have to identify every single bit of software and approve every single bit of software to be used. It's only the ones that are utilizing network resources. And once it's enabled in defense mode, we're actually blocking any software that is not approved from accessing the network resources. And that's every new software, every new virus, every zero-day attack, every bit of dormant software. And this whole service is coming from the Cyber 2.0 product. So how does it work? Assuming we have a computer here being infected, and uninfected. So we have an application that's approved and it wants to talk on port 80 to another computer on the network. It'll be scrambled via our Cyber 2.0 engine. It'll go out on the network on a different port. Once it hits another computer on the network that's protected by Cyber 2.0, it will use the algorithm, and if it's in balance between the two computers, it will descramble the port to the correct port 80, which the application on that computer is expecting, and therefore the incoming traffic will work. In the case that the application is not approved, we don't scramble it. So it goes out on port 80, but everything on the incoming computer is descrambled. And therefore it would go to an unused port, in this case 4800, and be discarded by the receiving computer. It's as simple as that. That is how we know it's working. So using that approach, every ordinary attack will fail. You can't bypass it, you can't deactivate it, we can't modify the list, we can't use other software, and we can't have man-in-the-middle attacks. And I'll run through why on these next. So bypassing Cyber 2.0 will fail because if it's not scrambled, it's going out on the original port. But every bit of communication coming into other computers on the network is descrambled. So it will always be discarded. If you deactivate Cyber 2.0, it's the same as if everything is unapproved. Everything will be going out to the network unscrambled and will still be descrambled by receiving computers. And in that case, everything will be discarded. That computer is effectively isolated from the network without the agent. If we modify the whitelist, so there is a copy of whitelist kept on each computer, but if it is modified, that is one of the key parameters that create the chaos algorithm. So everything will still go out being scrambled. However, it will not be scrambled with the ports that will be expected by receiving computers because the algorithm is not in balance, and therefore everything will be discarded. Now, this is a major feature of Cyber 2.0, which is very revolutionary. So whereas most products only look at the end communication, so in the case here, if Outlook was compromised at sending something out, they really don't know about it. However, Cyber 2.0 track the change. So if we look at current solutions, they wouldn't block Outlook going out because Outlook is an okay organized application and it's doing what it's meant to be doing. However, Cyber 2.0 tracks the process all the way back to the originating process. So in this case, in this chain, it was started by a bit of malicious software called Service Host, called Task Scheduler, called PowerShell, called Outlook, and then did something out to network. This would be blocked automatically by Cyber 2.0, and we'll give you a little demonstration of that moving forward. So this is a little bit more about the reverse tracking. So Cyber 2.0 records every process and every library file that's loaded on the system. It identifies their MD5 and SHA signature, and it matches that against the whitelist. And furthermore, it records every access of a process to another process. So therefore, it forms this chain of applications. Now, the whole benefits here is we don't actually need to read the data. We're just identifying the application, the MD5 and the SHA. And for that reason, we fully comply with GDPR and most privacy regulations. Again, because we're not utilizing CPU cycles to investigate the actual data being sent and working out what it's actually doing on the computer and all of that. We're not creating a load on systems and slowing down the network. And we don't need definition updates because the definition is what's approved. It's not everything else. There might be agent updates from time to time, but if you have a working solution, apart from any flaws in the agent, there is no need to update. So a quick summary on this, detection, as we know, 100% detection is not possible. We don't have that issue because we know what we're detecting and anything else that is excluded. Again, prevention, as we know, we're still preventing any spreading through the organization of unapproved or unknown software. We're based on an unpredictable, unbreakable mathematical chaos model versus a vulnerable biological model. And another one is the Cyber 2.0 each year have a big hacker challenge, and they offer up to 100,000 USD to hack their system. Every time this has been run, they've had some very good turnout, military, white hat, black hat, all types of hackers. They're literally, the environment gives them access directly onto the corporate network, into a network. They plug in, they have the wireless key, or they plug directly into the network. They are given the administration passwords for all the devices, and they're tasked with picking a file up off a server. To date, no one has been able to achieve this. A quick understanding, we're not going to run into the Vortex at this time. It'll be part of a later presentation. However, we have what's called a Vortex Gateway, which is a dedicated gateway you can place between network segments, between firewalls, to help you protect unsupported devices. This could be IoT, it could be printers, there's a variety of things, unsupported operating systems that we might not be able to load an agent on. And this works just like an agent on that network segment. And as such, also in the SCADA OT environment, where you're sitting it between the controlling computers and your switch controller on the network. Now, in the case of our work from home solutions, so it's about most work from home solutions I see, especially where they have kids, and especially recently where they're in lockdown, lots of gaming going on, lots of, interesting, to say the least, traffic on the local network. I know most kids I've seen, they're continuously downloading hacks to Fortnite or whatever game they're playing at the time. And a lot of these are actually riddled with viruses. I've seen many computers taken out, and it's all just part and parcel. But you're sitting there with your employee's device in that environment, which you have zero control over. And you might think you've got the best detection, but as you know, as they keep telling you, it's when, not if, they get attacked. So essentially, if you don't have 100% protection there, you're asking for it. And a VPN doesn't fix this. It just means the communication between the computer to the office network is secured from the internet, from people sniffing on the data, but it doesn't stop it doesn't make the data itself or the application safe. So we've got a few examples. Even if the computer's infected, it can still work with the approved applications to the company network. It'll prevent the malicious software spreading. And we also have solutions which is probably a bit more advanced. We're not going to go in here as well, but we could actually use Cyber 2.0 to replace the VPN in itself. But that's something a little bit more advanced, but definitely available. So I'm going to give you a couple of little demonstrations of the product working. So just bear with me for a minute. I'll present the lab.
So why Derek does that, just give you a heads up in what we're about to demonstrate while we flick across the lab. So the first demonstration we're going to do is when we talked around that whole chain, although say with a whitelisted Outlook, that's approved, but then someone's running a script, downloads a piece of malicious software to the machine that then runs a script that then utilizes Outlook via a local API to execute a string, but the software, the Cyber 2.0 software, will still stop that attack because it's detected in the whole chain that the original execution process was malicious, so then stops it. And then the second one we'll do, which everyone really loves, is the ransomware. So we're actually going to have a machine show you a network share, hey, that we can access data, and then we're going to kill our own network and deploy ransomware, which most people would go is not a good demo, but we'll show you how well the software can stop it spreading throughout the network.
Great, thanks, Ryan. Everyone can see my screen okay? It's coming up?
Yep.
Right, awesome. So first bit here is we show here, we've got Cyber 2.0 protecting a few computers here. We can see basically they've got the same Whitelist version. They're all online, current, online. And in this case, we see they are in monitor mode. Not a good spot. Let me just change that. I think that we did that earlier. I'm going to stick that one into defense mode now.
Derek, do you just want to cover off the difference then by defense and monitor mode?
Yeah, absolutely. So what defense mode is essentially Cyber 2.0 is just collecting data. It's sitting on there. It's identifying what's going on over the network. It's collecting a software inventory of all the software that exists on the network, all the different versions, all the machines that it's installed on, and likewise. It allows you to essentially create what we call a whitelist safely and effectively, and we usually will run that for about a week to 2 weeks, depending on the organization style, just so we can properly approve software that we are going to allow. So in this case, we get a website here, we can actually approve applications from very simply by selecting them, this, add to whitelist. And once we've got that built, that we can deploy and switch computers over to the full defense mode. Now we should see that'll take a minute to roll out. You can see it's happened, I believe. Everyone's in defense mode, as we can tell from there. Okay, so the first one I'm just going to create a simple remote shell. Now I haven't got a remote shell software on here, so I'm just essentially, I'm going to use NCAT, which has a way of exposing a shell to another computer. So I have this here, this is on a server outside, not protected. And right, that's listening now. So on the inside computer, let's assume that might have been a bit of software opening up that remote shell. I'm now should be able to connect. It is connected. So what I should see now is go back here. That's the ZDrive on this computer. You can see there. Now let's say, let's go and make a directory, and you should see it coming up on the other computer. So this is generally what these hackers will do when they're sitting in there, and they'll use this to identify what's going on around the network. However, we have a ZDrive over on this computer here. Now, let me just I should have a separate command prompt. Yeah, so we see CMD is approved, right? We can change the network drive. We can go back to Z. We can identify what's there. We can change directories. I'll go into desktop, where I should be. So go make the test. There we go. So I can communicate with the other computers on the network using CMD. What I'm going to do, I'm going to try use this CMD that I've exposed through a remote shell. And now we're going to try go to ZDrive. Oh, doesn't let us. The shell is giving us an access denied. And we try again, whatever drive we do, we can, map to IP address, whatever happens, everything will be. So that one does not found, but here we've got an access denied. Let's have a look what's actually happening there. So if we go across to our logs in Cyber 2.0, and I'll just refresh this to make sure I'm logged in. So I'm on that computer, and I'm just going to narrow it down quickly, but there's a reason because it should have been a chain. If I go there we go. There's my cmd.exe. You see it's blocked. And the reason is our shell is not in policy. So it's identified that this is the reverse tracking technology that's working here. So that NCAT.exe is not in policy, even though CMD.exe was and Explorer was. And that's why it's blocked.
But part of this will give you that security, that the age-old one that we see. This is the big one, and if someone gets sent the email from their bank and going, oh, you need to update your password, or the miscellaneous or the malicious Microsoft email that's been going around going, oh, your password's just about to expire, please click here, and it downloads an app to their local machine and compromises it, that allows them to start running remote scripts. The Cyber 2.0 product will block that, even though that, because obviously within a corporate environment, you don't want to block PowerShell, because then if you've got any login scripts or local remote management scripts won't work. Because we're blocking any miscellaneous apps, because we're picking up that whole chain, you can block what the original root cause of that one was, but before you actually block it out.
So here's another example. We're just going to show how it works as a software inventory. So here's a bit of software we don't have on our network at the moment. It's TextEdit. That was a test, my mistake. So we're going to run this installer. Oh, there we go. Should have tested that. Let me just copy it to the local machine, see if that makes a difference. Okay, so we're going to launch it. Now, first thing we know is TextEdit is not actually approved to run over network resources. So let me. So if I look at ZDrive, can't see anything there. Whereas on C drive, not a problem. But ZDrive, even though it's there, it knows it's mapped on the computer. We can't see it. Can't identify any files there because it can't talk over the network. Likewise, if we go into our inventory tool and I refresh this, I have to actually see what the application name is. There it comes. It's come up now. So there we go. I can see TextEdit version 3. And if I look in the web view, I actually have a little bit more information available to it. Now, I can add that to the editor. And here we can approve this bit of software. So we see we've got a new version 10 of our whitelist. What we should see is within a minute, version 10 will be rolled out on computers. There we go. So 10's getting out there. 3.7M, that's the one I'm on, so that's fine. So let's close TextEdit this time. Let's open it now. And look, here we go. We have our ZDrive available. So not only we inventoried that, that's how simple it is to introduce a new application, approved application to the network. So last one we're going to do is going to trash this machine, but what we want to make sure is, can we still work? So I've got some ransom here in this case. And you'll probably know the good old WannaCry.
I will preface this. I feel like one of those kid shows. Don't try this at home. This is done on a purpose-built lab network that is secured. That's why you'll see we're using TeamViewer to remote access. There is a website if you want to download these, and happy to supply it if you want to test it in your own lab environment. But make sure that this is a purpose-built lab environment for this. But yeah, not something I'd recommend trying at home.
Okay, so here we go. So let's go. There's the server. I'll just get a few windows open here for us. So that's the server drive. I'll chuck the local one on. We've got something in documents. Oh, well, anyway.
You just want to copy that couple of those files to the document?
I'll pick those files up. Just copy them to there. So there they all are there. Okay, say goodbye. Oh, good old smart screen, thank you. There we go. All right, so we see, look, there we go. Files encrypted. Everything here is encrypted, but look, the server is untouched. Something wants to make changes. I suppose I'll let it do it, but shouldn't matter. It still can't access the server. And there's your last bit. Oops, I'm encrypted.
But you just want to also show the capability, Derek, where you can still open and remotely work on those files.
That's correct.
They still won't.
That's something that's going to open WordPad. Oh, I think in this case, it's actually blocked anything opening. Yeah, the actual virus itself is, if I hadn't let that in, it's actually stopping things access it. Let me see if I can launch another one. I'll go back to TextEdit. So that's still open. It's great. Yeah, it's obviously, in this case it's blocking, but if the virus wasn't doing anything, we can still actually open those applications safely. test. There we go. Test.txt works and stuff. So all of those work. So I can open the files. They're not encrypted. They've got the proper content types on them and that type of thing. Now I'll just show you what's happening on the server. I'm going to shut this one down just because we don't really, even if it's all closed off, we don't really want to have viruses running on our network. Disconnect. Okay.
Yeah, we can sort that out. I thought just one.
Yep.
Jump
I
in.
need to, yeah, we're running out on time. So I'll just jump in. I'll show you on the bit in here in our analyzer in this case. So we go back through to our logging. It's the same computer and chain. That's fine. We can update that. And we should see, there we go, WordPad tried to open. In that case, it wasn't in the policy, but we should see the WannaCry come up in here. And there it is here. So there's the location on the infected computer we get. We get a location on the infected computer. We get all of these approved processes, except the virus itself is in that chain. It's not in policy, and that's why everything is blocked. So that's basically how simple it is and how easily it works.
Cool. I might just re-kick off the presentation again, because I'm just mindful of time. No, everyone's busy in time. So basically, what we want to cover off is, so from an installation perspective, it's simple. It's as simple as deploying the agent, running that in monitor mode to analyze the network, see what applications are running, which are approved apps in which you wish to approve, approving them, and then migrate, and then turning the agent from monitor mode to defense mode that then instigates the chaos algorithm and starts protecting the network. And then there's a bunch of tools to look at monitoring that constantly from the chain software in which Derek showed you, and then also the inventory tools in which you can use to inventorize that network to go through. So the risk assessment tool in which we are launching today is the 14-day risk assessment. So what's involved in that is deploying the Cyber 2.0 agent on your customer's network or also your internal network, whether you wish to test the internal or run a proof of concept with your actual customers. So on around 10 to 20 machines, for the proof of concept, we leave it in monitor mode only. So it's really around analyzing that network, seeing what's happening, what traffic's throwing through the network, building that profile. But then at the end of that proof of concept, if they want to see value on that, we can then turn that to defense mode from there. But what it's going to do is pull out an assessment and a report of all the software through their network, in which is high risk computers, which may have infected software on it. And what we've seen and where we've done this with some test customers is there's a whole lot of software and remote access software running through their network that they weren't even aware of, that their traditional security software hadn't picked up. So it's a great tool to provide that first level entry into what Cyber 2.0 can deliver for them. As we said, from the actual Cyber 2.0 product, it is protected by patents. The existing software, there's a bunch of new patents that are currently submitted and waiting in process. And this is some of the new feature set that you'll see that will be coming out over the next year or so as those patents become approved. One of the things is that's very unique about this software, in which Derek touched on earlier around how it complies with GDPR, is unlike a lot of other software where it needs to grab a snapshot of that software, upload to a cloud server to analyze, and then send that back. The actual software is running locally. So even if the management server is turned off, the the software will still operate, because what it is it has its approved subset. And even talking to another device, if they all have the approved algorithm, the chaos algorithm is all in balance. Or the remote management server. Now, these servers, the customer can either deploy this internally to their own environment within a public cloud, or can also use our multi-tenanted deployment of that software. But it's just the reporting and analyzing of that report and building those whitelists. None of the actual network traffic as it throws through a customer's network is actually being reported back to these servers. It's only the reporting on that. So none of the actual traffic, as Derek said, we don't need to actually view any of that traffic. We're just looking at those approved apps throws back, as well as you can have the Vortex Gateway if you wish to, if that's required for your network setup. But like we said, if definitely reach out to us as part of the proof of concept, where we can step you through what's that right algorithm for you. So the biggest thing is where to from here. Definitely recommend trialing out for yourself. Is trialing it on your internal network as you're looking to put that offering together. Reach out to us and we can help you put together that cybersecurity offering if you haven't already got one. And Cyber 2.0 pulls part of it, and there's multiple components to that. We will be running training sessions next year. We are wary that there's less than 12 days to Christmas now, so everyone is keen to end the year well. So in the beginning of the new year, in January, you'll see an email go out with all the training sessions for your internal staff in how to deploy and whitelist and use that management software. And then also we've got a bunch of pre-built campaigns to go out to your existing customers. Of that, for proof of concept, the kind of four or five major steps is really identify the customer. Does the software going to add value to them? Request that trial that we can set up for you. Provide customer side IP and deploy agent. That's kind of within that same step. And then at the end of that trial, we can then review that report and then help you put a proposal through for your customer. So how to reach out to us? We have got a dedicated page. We will be sending this out in the post follow-up email, but definitely register and we'll be in contact with you to organise that initial proof of concept. Or if you do wish to roll this into your cybersecurity offering, by all means, reach out and we can arrange a discussion with Derek or myself around what those next steps are. We were just going to go into a quick question and answer time if anyone had any questions. Derek, if you want to jump back on as well. I'm just reading through the chat if there's any questions popped up. There was one.
I can't see the chat.
Okay, let me. Sorry, I can. You can't. Let me dump that in a chat that you can see. There you go. If you look in your chat window, you'll have that there. Is there any other questions before we cover off on Joel's question?
Yep.
Feel free, if you want to
Yep.
raise your hand, I can unmute you if you had a question that you wanted to ask.
Right. So I'll deal with Joel's question. So usually, like in a case of like SolarGate, essentially, yes, the application, approved trusted application was compromised, but they used that to then load a shell or other software onto the computer. So they don't modify the trusted applications to a great extent that it's actually doing something different to what it was doing in most cases. I mean, doesn't stop that happening, but the likelihood of that happening would be of it being caught early would be much higher. With Cyber 2.0, we can actually go down to the version of an application and not approve certain application versions if that becomes an issue. But I think you'll find in every case there was something else got onto the computer, and Cyber 2.0 would definitely be blocking that.
Cool. Thanks. Any other questions? Otherwise, we might wrap up for the day. We know Monday morning, everyone's normally got internal meetings with their team. But from Derek and myself, we just want to thank everyone for joining. And we will send out a recording of this webinar later on today, as well with the PowerPoint presentation and also some brochures on the Cyber 2.0 product as well. If you're looking for some further information, and the link to register on for the next steps. But we just want to thank everyone for joining today, and hope this really gave you some insights into what Cyber 2.0 can do and how it can help to build out your arsenal in the cybersecurity space. So thanks, guys, and look forward to talking to you guys all again in the new year. And just from all of us at Severity and SwitchNet, we don't talk to you. Have a very Merry Christmas, and we'll talk next year.
Great. Thank you all. See you soon.